Hi, Jerry Tachoir once again with Mallet tip number 10. I first of all want to thank my sponsors Ludwig Musser, Innovative Percussion, and Avita Jazz Records. It's been a pleasure and I hope you enjoyed these tips. Today I'm going to talk about In the Mind of the Improvising Artist. This is actually a clinic I did at a jazz educators convention at one time. And it's something that came up as a question during one of my clinics. One of the students asked me, so Jerry, when you're improvising, what are you thinking about? And let me preface this by saying, coming from the classical world, getting into the jazz world, when I first started out, the mind was a busy place. In other words, as I was learning theory and as I was learning my modes, scales, and musical phrasing and technique and dampening and pedaling, my mind was constantly buzzing around, going through things. As I'm playing, I'm thinking Dorian, Mixolydian, Ionian, Locrian, dampen this, oops, hit this, I want this scale, I want this note, softer, louder. It was just a very busy place. As you practice and practice and practice, and through the years of developing your skill set and understanding music and analysis and getting better and better at it, all of a sudden, it seems like then it gets to the point where you start to play and your mind just kind of clears out. You get rid of all the analysis. But what happens, there's a process. There's a saying that you don't know what you don't know and you don't know what you don't know it. Or you don't know that you don't know it. But the bottom line is when you first start out, you don't understand really that there's such things as wrong notes. I mean, you don't really have the information, so you're free, you're playing, you're well, and everything's cool. You're not really too much worried. As you start studying, as you start learning about theory and harmonies and scales and modes, then all of a sudden it becomes, oh my God, I could hit a wrong note. There's possibilities of what if I hit an avoid note? What if I do this? What if I play the wrong scale? And then you're almost afraid to play. And then as you study more and keep wearing it out with the analysis, this is a 5/7 of this is a 2-chord, takes Dorian, this takes Mixolydian, this blah, blah, blah. After you spend years and years and years of working on that, then all of a sudden you'll find you'll start to play and it's making sense, but you're not going through the mind gears of calculating what's happening and it's just sort of automatically is happening. And this is where we want to be as an artist. We want to get to the beat at the point where we are so aware of our capability and we're so aware of our harmonic understanding that we're able to kind of transcend all the mind think, so to speak, and just play our music and listen to what makes sense and what sounds great and be harmonically accurate and correct based off of the knowledge that we studied, but we don't have to really at this point think it through. You have to know your limitations. You have to know that there are things that you need to work on, study and practice, and that's real important too. So deal with your limitations. You know, don't keep blowing them off and say, well, I'm having a hard time with my symmetrical diminished scale, so I'll deal with that tomorrow. Work on it now, get it under your hands, get it where it feels comfortable, and it becomes part of your subconscious, and then it's like, makes sense and you don't have to worry about it. There's a book out that Gary Burton actually turned me on to, and I believe it's called something like Modern Pathways, or New Pathways to Modern Piano Techniques. And in the last chapter of this book, there's a section on a term called idiokinetics. And idiokinetics is the ability to allow your subconscious to be creative. There's 3 forms of being. Right now, hopefully you're all conscious, you're aware of what I'm saying, you're formulating opinions, yes or no, right or wrong, yes I agree, I don't agree. That's a conscious decision. So when in a conscious mind, there's really no creativity because you're using your brain to sort this thing out. Unconscious, you're passed out. There's no form of creativity in the unconscious mind either. You're asleep. So your subconscious mind supposedly is your only true form of creativity. And I'll give you an example. One day I was doing a drum set gig where I was playing for a wedding, something silly. I needed the $50. So as I was playing this wedding, I remember like looking out the window and I was just kind of daydreaming, just kind of going along with the music. And I played like, I did the really coolest lick. And I tried to redo it again. I said, wow, that was cool. Let me try to redo it. And when I tried to redo it again consciously, it didn't feel as good. So I went back to that mindset of like looking out the window. And so anyway, that subconscious mind that allowed me to play the really cool lick is the idiokinetics that we're working on. You want to get to the point as an artist where as you're playing, it's almost an out-of-body experience. It's almost where you become one with your instrument and you almost have tunnel vision, where as you're playing, you're developing your lines, you're developing your harmony, you're listening to the music. It's just you and your instrument and music, and you're trusting your hands. And it's a little bit scary because you feel like you're slightly out of control, but your mallets are doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing the dampening, they're doing the phrasing, our articulation is great, the dynamics are right, I'm using the right modes and the right scale. And that's where we want to get as an artist, to get to that point where our subconscious playing is doing it for us. So the other thing that I got into recently, and this became quite aware of, I became quite aware of it, is I started taking yoga about 4 years ago. And I found that my yoga teacher, every time you do a certain move or certain posture, he would say, okay, breathe, hold it, exhale, okay, breathe, and he would tell you when to breathe. And it made so much sense. And now I found myself at one time, as I'm playing the vibes, there were certain times when I was maybe pushing too hard or trying to play something a little too fast. And I found myself getting tight and not breathing. So this yoga actually may be sensitive to the fact that you have to breathe and you have to stay relaxed. The more you can concentrate on the breath and allow your playing to be smooth and just flow, it seems to be easier overall and it makes more musical sense. You may or may not agree with this, but it seems in my case that it really helped out. And the yoga is one thing that I became sensitive to, the breathing aspect of the playing. And I remember there was a teacher at Berkeley one time told me, he says, Jerry, I hear you play and you're playing great, everything sounds awesome, but you need to breathe. And he was a horn player. And what he meant was not so much actually breathing as we normally breathe every day, but he meant more of phrasing kind of thing. You need to like breathe while you're playing a line, and then when you run out of breath, that's the end of that phrase. You take a breath and then you continue your line. So he was thinking more of that way. I'm actually thinking more in terms of making sure that you're constantly breathing as a normal human being to execute your lines. And if you find yourself pushing a little too hard, make sure you are breathing through it. And it just seems to make a lot of sense. I get once again thanking Ludwig Musser, Innovative Percussion, and Avita Jazz Records for this. I hope I gave you some good pointers to help you become a better mallet player and be confident. Work on your sound, work on your ability to relax, and enjoy your music. Thank you so much. Take care.